If your goal is to try to catch up on lectures, there are probably two things you can do. The first one is asking the prof what the main points of that lecture were, and then going and like rereading the slides. It also depends if your lecture is recorded. Are your lectures recorded?
For my section, no, maybe for another section.
Okay. You can also ask if the professor has recordings of those lectures. Sometimes they have recordings for like an asynchronous class that they have in the summer or something like that. You can ask them for those. It kind of depends if it aligns with the material, because sometimes they go like a little bit ahead or like they're a little bit behind, but it's always worth it to at least ask. I would ask in person. It's probably better. They're more likely to give you some leeway on that. And then the second thing is teach yourself the lectures right before you go into the next lecture, because even if you don't understand it completely, you're still going to have like a short-term memory understanding of the topic before you go into the next lecture. You get like a recency bias, and that way, like, even if your understanding is incomplete, you can at least start linking it to the material that's coming. The problem is when you fall maybe 2 or 3 lectures behind that, and then it's a little bit difficult to do. But either way, you're still going to have to go double speed to try to catch up. I would recommend interleaving the two. So don't just like study one, like study the lecture that you're behind on, end for the day, and then like do the next one the next day. I would do the first part of the lecture from last time, and then start studying the next lecture, the one that you just had, even if it was like 3 lectures back. If it was 3 lectures back, then like, let's say that part was like, it covered integrals. This is a very basic example. Like, let's say it covered integrals, and then you were doing full integral problem in the 4th lecture, but you missed the 1st lecture. You can then take the integral stuff that you learned and then start the problem and just see where you can't do until. And that will at least help you categorize where it's supposed to be. You know, when you repeatedly learn it over time, you'll have somewhere to put it and you'll understand where it falls into the problem that you're going to have to solve on the exam. Instead of just trying to like learn it and be like, okay, I in theory know the theory, and then move on to the next one, and then move on to the next one without practicing it in the context of the newest lecture. Because I think that helps bring you up to speed a lot faster than just putting everything off by like 2 more weeks, because then you're behind in every single lecture. Worst case scenario, if you absolutely cannot catch up, try to focus on the stuff that you are learning right now. If you have questions on it, either ask the professor, ask other students, or ask AI. Just really focus on understanding what it is right now that you're supposed to know, and then work backwards from there. Because the worst thing is you're pushing everything off by 2 weeks. You're like, oh, I'll get to this one in 2 weeks so that I can catch up on the previous ones. And then all of a sudden you get to the exam, but you're 2 weeks behind, right? Because you haven't had time to catch up. And that's when you're really in trouble. At least you'll have like 60-70% of the content understood by the exam. And honestly, if you can do like week 4, you can probably do weeks 1 through 3, because it builds. So if you really understand week 4, it's not like you're gonna not understand week 1. It just might be like, well, if there's different contexts or like it's asked in certain ways, then you might have a little bit of trouble. But like as a general concept, you'll at least have an outline of what you're studying. So either way you go, like it's kind of mental priming for the other one, but it's better to start, like decide that you're caught up now and be like, okay, from here on out, I'm gonna stay on top of it, and then work backwards. I think if you want to focus on something that you don't necessarily know as well, you don't necessarily need to study it for longer. You just need to be way more particular about the things that you're actually doing within that time.
Study that first, because your energy will like...
Yeah, exactly. So like if you were thinking of, this is my energy throughout the whole day, it's better in the morning and it kind of tapers off at night, or maybe it gets a little bit better towards like 7 a.m. to like maybe 10 a.m. and then it starts to fade very slowly over time, and then it just like drops at like 6. Push everything to when like all the harder stuff to when you're most locked in and you can really focus uninterrupted. So that's another thing to consider, is that if you are going to campus or you're going to the library or something, I've honestly stopped doing that as much, just because there's too much visual distraction. So even if I can't hear anything, even if I have my noise canceling headphones on, it's still just like people walking around and all of that. It's like very distracting. And actually there were a bunch of studies that showed that humans are so primarily driven by vision as the primary sense for navigation throughout the world. Distractions of vision are way worse than any other sense. If you were to sit down in a library, maybe it like smells a little bit. You're like, oh, okay, well, that's like not the end of the world. You just like habituate over time. But like if you sit down and like people are like waving at you, that sort of thing, and like people are walking by all the time, it's very, very distracting. Another thing also is that like if you need your vision to solve math problems, it's actually harder to switch from a verbal cue back to vision. So if somebody's talking to you, let's say in the library, you're paying attention to that verbal cue. In adults that are older, it's actually not as bad for them. But since we're a little bit on the younger side, it's more difficult for us to transition from listening to something going back to visual information because we have to suppress it so much because it's so powerful. And so that to me is why like doing the harder things in the library is just a lot of distraction. Just sit in your room, headphones on.
Well, if you have like a study room, then
if you're in a study room, just face away from the window of the door so that you don't see anything in your peripheral. If you find that like the morning is peaceful, just do it in the morning when you wake up. I would even do like, if you're learning the stuff in the morning, then do like a tiny review at night. So if you spent like 30 minutes really intensely learning this one concept and focusing on it until you got it, then maybe do like 5 to 10 minutes right before you were winding down for the day. And that will help you get extra repetitions in. But the most important thing to realize is that when you're doing the repetition, I actually literally just read a study on this today, like maybe an hour ago. When you're doing practice tests and you're doing like an encoding period, which is like you're learning it, you're studying it, the studying, it is literally only effective for the first time. As soon as you learn it, studying it to learn it more does not help. You literally just do practice questions, and they like, in the conditions, they removed studying altogether from one of them and just only had them test. And then one of them, they had the participants only study but not do practice questions. So if you were to learn it in like 30 minutes, then you could probably do like 5 to 10 minutes of practice questions on it. And that will help you way more than trying to learn it for like 30 minutes and then trying to relearn it for like 30 minutes. Or like just sitting down and staring at it for like an hour. Just like as soon as you got it, just go to practice questions, because you don't have time if you're trying to do it double speed and catch up. If you're going to the tutorial just because it's more practice and you can see people work through the questions, then you probably won't have too much trouble doing that on your own, and you can just make time, set aside the same amount of time, I think would be beneficial. I don't think you would need to do like more than that. Like if tutorial's an hour, probably don't need more than an hour. I think you could probably learn most lectures in like 3 hours at a maximum. If you're going to learn how to do it in tutorial because you didn't understand the lecture, I think that says more about you not doing something before lecture to understand it in lecture, like that mental priming. Yeah, and then, yeah, exactly, prepare and prime. And then reviewing it right after lecture, because tutorial is usually not right after lecture, it's usually like on a different day. If it is right after lecture, that's honestly probably the best scenario, but I've only had that ever happen once. And I was usually so tired that like, cause like the lecture was 3 hours, and then tutorial was an hour. I was like cooked. I couldn't do it.
Wow.
Yeah. Ideally, it wouldn't be that. But like if lecture was like an hour to 2 hours, you'd probably be fine for the third hour of tutorial. But if it's on a different day, then you have an opportunity to work on it right after lecture too. So you're doing the priming, you're going to lecture, and you're understanding it a little bit better, and then you're reviewing it immediately after, and that will set you up really well to like, especially for the lectures that you're trying to stay on top of now, that will like basically make it impossible to fall behind any further. If you still don't understand it, you should probably still try to do it yourself before tutorial and really just sit with it. There's a lot of ways where you can just get AI or something to explain it to you. There's actually this software that I just found. It's called Learnable. So, okay, I never recommend like AI things because I think most of them are pretty stupid and they just don't do what I want it to, and they're bad. But Learnable, you pretty much upload all of your stuff, like you can upload your syllabus. Like it has sections for all of this, so you can upload your syllabus, you can upload your slides, and then it will pretty much create an AI that will only draw from your material. You can also give it the textbook and it will only draw from that too. So like anything you upload, that's the only stuff it draws from. It will help you like read through the lecture slides first. The most powerful part of that I found of Learnable was the learn function. So it essentially takes you from like it like assumes you know nothing, and then it takes you through like everything. And I used it for a lecture that I missed 2 weeks ago, and it was like I just like forgot how good it was, because there is a free version. If you want to use it for all of your classes, then I would probably do the paid version. For one class, you can probably use the free version. It gives you like 15 credits per day or something, and that's like generating a full practice exam is like 4 credits. So yeah, so it's pretty good. So like if you were to do that for every class, I think you probably would want unlimited use, but for one class it's probably going to work pretty well. I actually reached out to them and tried to get a discount code, so if there is a discount code, then I will find it and give it to you. I've basically turned UofTearless into like a brand that sources out all of the best resources that I found, so I'm trying to like email all the companies and get discount codes for people. That's the goal now. But yeah, Learnable I think is probably the only one that I found that was actually useful for learning stuff and that had something that you couldn't really do in Gemini, because you know I love Gemini.
Yeah.
The thing too about the learn function of Learnable is that it'll like, if you get it wrong, it won't just be like, oh, that's wrong, here's why. It will just like say, that's wrong, think about this, and then have you like retype your answer until you actually prove that you understand it. And then at the end, it will have you summarize the entire lesson in your own words. And if you can't do that, then it will make you go back and do it again. So it basically like forces you to actually learn it. And that was one thing that was valuable to me, was just I didn't have to think. I just like did what it said and then like magically ended up learning it at the end. But like there's still a lot you can do on your own. Like I would recommend starting with what you can do, and then if you're in a rush for time or you just can't, like you don't feel like planning it out, it's too much, then there's other options.